For the last 30 days, I've been challenging myself to learn acrobatics. So that includes anything from basically breakdancing to trampoline work to floor, parkour stuff, anything like that. Just trying to learn new skills. And I'm trying to learn them at an old age. You might laugh because I'm not old, but most of the people who are doing this have been doing it since they were young children. Their body has basically just kept the tissue tolerance to all these different movements. And you don't hear of many people who learn this stuff later in life. And when they do, they never succeed or they get injured really quickly. So this video is gonna go over how do you learn acrobatics at any age? What's the biggest challenges that I faced while learning these acrobatics? And then what important things would I deem for you to know before you started? Just so you're aware, so it doesn't shock you when you get 5 days in and you're super sore or you're like, this is the hardest thing that I've ever done. It's not the hardest thing you've ever done, and you'll have great success if you just follow a few important steps. So that's what we'll go over in the video. Before we start, so first, here's the 30 skills that I learned, and then we'll get started on answering your questions. So the first question is, how is acrobatics learned at an older age if you haven't done it when you were a kid? And to give you proof that it is possible, I inspired my mom while I was learning this to try to learn a front flip on the trampoline. Now, she's 48 and she was able to get it. We took step by step. I want to get a back flip next, but she's just got a front flip. Took step-by-step process to get there, and she was able to land it. Now, there was a lot of different things that she had to deal with, and the big one is every year that you age, your recovery is going to be a little bit slower. So as a kid, you hit the ground 20 times, next day you're up, you're kicking it, you're just fine. As you get older, the body takes more time to recover. So that's one, from falling, like hitting the ground generally. And that's two, from the muscle activation. So when you're doing things like flips, there's a huge stretch on the core. Think about it this way. If I'm on this machine and I have my hands here and I'm flipping backwards, how many reps of this could I do before my core gets really, really tired? And the reality of it is that it's not that many. So when you're doing backflips and you're doing them explosively, even if it's on the trampoline, boom, flipping, tucking, your core is getting ripped up in terms of muscular training. You probably haven't done that. So you're gonna need to ease into it, probably slower than you want to once you're committed, because you're gonna get sore, you're gonna have some recovery time. The second aspect is the fear. As you get older, you get more fear when it comes to what happens if I get hurt, who's gonna take care of blank, things like that. They're all valid, but at the same time, like, kids don't have that and they're able to learn much faster. So the more we can get past that and move around, change our thinking to, like, this is actually helping me develop my own mental ability, and this is something that I find joy in. If it's something you don't find any joy in, one, think about it, because a lot of time people don't because of the fear, not because they haven't done it. But two, start at a really low level. If you haven't jumped in a while, start jumping, genuinely jumping. And then if you haven't spun in a while, do 180. That was really sad that I didn't land that, but 180. And then after that, you can work on a 360. Things like that. I'm really worried that I'm gonna nail my feet on there. But you can see the video, there's a 540 in there, where you're spinning 360, 180. That took me some time to learn and actually land it, but I was able to get it on both sides. And when you get done learning skills, you feel very, very accomplished, no matter how big the skill is. It just takes time, you put work and effort in, and then you get the outcome. Now, last one is the ego aspect. When you're a young kid, you generally do it because it's fun, and you learn super fast. As you get into teens, you get this ego that you're gonna learn it because you have the ego. Now, the problem with that is it's based on ego, which is not really productive, but it does push you to learn a little bit faster because you want to beat someone, you want to be better. Now, as you get older, that ego goes away when it comes to doing acrobatics, because your friends think you're just a psychopath for doing it. So as that goes away, you really do have to find the joy in it and really enjoy doing the acrobatic skills, so you're not trying to compete with someone, because someone's always going to be better than you. Someone's always going to be worse than you. So it'll just put you in an idle state. Find the joy and then move forward. So that's how you can learn acrobatics at any age. But now into the two biggest challenges that I face. So mental and physical, I'll break them up into those two. Mental is the fear factor. It really is real when you're flipping back over your head. When you haven't done it, it's like, what the heck am I expecting my body to do right now? As you do it more and more and more and more, it feels really easy. It's very strange. So just to give you the story, when I first learned a backflip 2 months ago on a trampoline to land it, I could always do it into the pool, but I was never landing them. So I learned it 2 months ago into the pool, on a trampoline. Landed it, that was the greatest thing ever. Still thought it was scary for a while. As I was doing these backflips, I'm like, make sure I know where the ground is on the trampoline. And then now it's just, I can get on there and do it at any time. I could pretty much do it with my eyes closed. I probably wouldn't want to, because it could get hurt from that. And it's just kind of a stupid thing, but I can close one eye, I can move my arms around, I can do a layout, all these different variations of it. And a normal backflip is very comfortable. There's no fear along it. Just 2 days ago, I was learning a back full, which is a 360 with a backflip. When I was sending it, there was a ton of fear again. The exact same fear that I experienced in the beginning. And overcoming that broke down another wall. Now, I expect to hit that again when I'm trying to do a double backflip or something like that. Another level of trick, another flip, another spin, something like that. You get better at breaking it down, but you also get new thoughts. And the challenge with that is people telling you all the time, you're gonna break your neck. Yeah, it's a possibility, but it's also a possibility while you drive a car, and no one says that when you show up for the family dinner. Like, oh, you drove here, were you gonna break your neck? That was risky. No one says that. But they say it about acrobatics, which I guess is not as necessary, but maybe it is necessary. It brings joy to life. So that's the mental aspect. Developing that is you're going to run into it, and know that you're going to run into it, because then you'll be more prepared. Even now, when I look to send a backflip on flat ground, I still have to like mentally prepare myself. I just run into a wall sometimes, mentally. Now physically. So this is where I actually found the most growth for myself and thought it was the most beneficial. So as you know, because this is a personal training page, that I do a lot of training for myself, do a lot of training for other people. As I was going through this process of learning acrobatics, I could see where my body was very limited and not prepared for the intensity that I was putting under it. Now, I would try to compensate with other areas that I was strong with, but just to give you the knowledge, my shoulders did not open up as well as I wanted them to with straight arms. So when I was doing things like a back bridge, boom, that's funny actually. So when I was doing things like a back bridge, that's exactly what I've been working on. Over here, my arms didn't straighten out completely. Now they can, but what I need to do is get my body more over those arms to be able to kick my legs back up. Now, that'll take some time, and as you saw, sometimes you fall on your face. And it's not a problem, because you learn to fall. That's one of the first things that I started working on when I had people giving me different, they're like, learn to roll, learn to fall, all these different things. And now when I do that and I'm leaning down, I'm going to grab the ground, but I don't grab the ground, you just fall on your shoulder, you get back up. Now, if you fall a bunch of times, yeah, it does start to get bruised, but it comes back together. So to continue with the physical limitations, so shoulders were one main one, and then the other aspect was my hips. So as I was learning the butterfly kick, what you see there, the hips didn't open up like I wanted them to. Now, the other aspects of this is windmilling, and a lot of the breakdancing moves require your hips to be very open to create torque and rotation. Now, I didn't have the stability for it, so I've been drilling this in the gym as much as I can to build and open it up, alongside of doing these more elastic plyometric stuff like a butterfly, where I'm exploding into the positions that are weak. And even though they're not there, the glutes and the groin have been more sore the last few days than pretty much ever before, because I've opened up new pathways that now I'm able to access. This feels really good, and there's a lot more to be built upon, but that's where if you don't try anything new, you might be, oh, I'm just fine. You're living like a robot every day, and then something random happens and it rips up your hips, per se. Hopefully not, but this is a reality that you can run into. The last section is things I want you to know before you start your journey with acrobatics or anything that's related, from parkour to breakdancing, things like that. Especially if you didn't do it as a child. You're gonna need some time for tissue tolerance, but the main thing is don't look at Instagram as your main ideas for choosing tricks. Find somebody that's well-versed in the area. Franz Emotion, or Marcel Maca Moves on Instagram have helped me out quite a bit with this, because I'll look at moves like, oh, it's a corkscrew, that looks fun. And they're like, people can take 2 to 3 years to learn this move. Like, genuinely. Now, you could try to drive just that move, but you're gonna have a much safer and more enjoyable time learning smaller tricks that build up to it. So when I was building the back half, I learned the Arabian. I learned the Barani is what it's called. Different tricks that basically come together to build that trick as one. Then when I did it, I was able to start, and once I started sending it, I was able to about get it in a day. But it took some time to start sending it. I would kind of send it and be like, yeah, that's not for me today. There's too much fear with that, or there's just too much different thoughts. Let's learn a different skill that's more basic. So don't just use YouTube or things like that. Have some guidance where it comes through. And the second part of that is learn dumb tricks. So things like jumping and spinning. That's gonna help you a ton when you're trying to spin while doing a flip, right? So taking the time to learn these really basic tricks allow you to get to the point where you can thrive in some of the more complex tricks that look cool and do it a lot safer. And then the last aspect is don't just focus on one trick. So a lot of people will hyper focus on a backflip and be like, I want to get to the backflip. Now the problem with this is there's a lot of other things that are going into this, and you're gonna get tired of trying to learn a backflip or injured because there's lots of challenges with that. Now it's not a bad thing to have a long-term goal, but learn other tricks that build up to it. So typically I'll have about 5 tricks that I'm trying to learn at once, and I aim to get them as different as possible. So some are shoulder rolls, some are on my hands like cartwheels, some are gonna be on the ground, more like a breakdancing, some on the trampoline. Now that's 4 different areas, and sometimes I'll double up on some of them. As that comes together, it makes me a lot more confident because whatever I'm feeling that day, I work on. And then I develop more, and I develop more. And then if something's sore, I won't do that same thing the next day. I'll try to avoid that area, train something else up, build upon it, and then go from there. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Would love to inspire you to learn some acrobatics. I think it's one of the most enjoyable things that I've done in quite some time in terms of athletic movement. And I think this is a wild statement, hot take you could say, but everyone should learn a base of acrobatics, and when they do, they will feel very fulfilled. And if everyone was just doing that, their body would feel a lot better. Now, they'll probably have to work in the gym to be able to get their body to that point, but it opens up a lot of ranges, a lot of muscles, helps you contract areas that are often missed when we're sitting in positions like this or just always standing stick straight. That allows you to feel better. So learn some of the basics, comment. I want to hear what you're doing. You could even send me videos on Instagram. I would love to see your progress, be inspired, and even learn more there. So I am continuing my challenge from 30 days to 100 days, seeing if I can learn 100 different skills in 100 days. So follow on Instagram at mo.ability to see how that's going. It's all in the story highlights. You just click through and be like, whoa, man, did he stop? No, he didn't.